So this is the video that I probably should have done prior to the assignment. Some people are having difficulty in installing Python and also in dealing with their Windows environment. And when I say Windows, I mean Microsoft Windows. I'm not going to make an exhaustive video about installing on a MacBook. Well, there's actually 3 different ways. You could do it through python.org's download. You could do it with the installation app known as Flask, and you can do it the way I do it with VMware Fusion. And within VMware Fusion, you would install like Debian or some other flavor of Linux, and there's literally thousands of distributions of Linux. So I'm going to stay away from the Mac OS. I'm going to assume that those of you that have Mac OS know how to deal with its eccentricities. However, when it comes to Microsoft Windows, some people are having a little bit of difficulty in dealing with that OS. So this is the video that will show you how to basically deal with the installation woes of Python in Windows, and you could apply it to even Java as well. Also, how to deal with the weekly assignments that are going to be coming your way. So let's take a look. I'm going to be showing you a I'm using another app on Mac OS. It's called UTM. So UTM is a wonderful application because it allows you to run ARM64 versions of a lot of the OSs out there, everything from Debian to Windows 7 through 11, and you can download images and then you can just follow the instructions and install them. So it's kind of like if VMware Fusion isn't working for you for Mac OS, then try UTM. And this whole thing for Mac OS is because they came out a couple years ago with the M1, 2, and 3 specific processors, and because it uses the ARM architecture, it's very, very efficient. But at the same time, you can't use the regular versions of Debian and Ubuntu. You have to use the ARM64 specific flavors of those. And anyways, UTM, in my opinion, is a little bit superior than VMware Fusion. VMware recently being purchased by Broadcom. This really is about those Microsoft Windows users who may be having some difficulty in dealing with programming and Python, and installing Python and dealing with programming. So this video is for you. So let's take a look. All right, this is not through VMware, but through something called UTM, and it is the latest, I guess you could say, or not latest, beta Windows 11 ARM64 operating system. And if we could go to the control panel. How the heck? I'm not the biggest Windows guy, so here, control panel, here it is. And if we go to system and security system, and I always like to go to the activation. That's how you know whether or not your OS is legit. And let's see, edition Windows 11 Pro. And this is how fresh this video is. It was installed today, actually, 8/30/2024. And here's product key and activation. We cannot activate Windows because this device, you don't have a valid digital license. This is because this is the Windows Pro ARM64, so this is the beta version. So I figured it was a good, I guess, approximation to what you Windows users have to suffer with. And I say that because for those Linux users out there, it's literally just so easy. You just type in Python 3 and you're ready to go. It's already been installed. And for you Mac users, you probably go through, like I said, there's different ways of installing Python 3 on a Mac, and I've gone kind of over that in a broad brush, but this is for you Windows users that might be having trouble. And the funny thing is, this is kind of like a beta version, but I had to do an update, and once their Copilot, or it came up as part of that update. So even with this beta version, and obviously this version wouldn't be mass produced, of course, they still have that Copilot. I mean, they just can't stop stop themselves. Anyways, so the first step in becoming a computer programmer or installing Python or even Java is, first step, you want to prep your desktop. So, if that's step one, prepping your desktop, 1A, so a sub step might be to take a look at all your programs in general, even if it's a new install, and see if you can just get rid of some of the garbage apps that just comes with the install of a bare bones Windows system, all the ancillary things. There's a lot of YouTube videos that show you how to personalize and hack up your brand new install to remove some of the garbage things, and they'll recommend third-party software that will get into the registry and make sure some of the programs that are just literally for marketing and nothing else are just gone. And I hate to say that Microsoft forces you to use like third-party apps just to clear out for example, on one of my Windows desktop, there is Angry Birds or whatever, or like a cell phone game. It always pops up and asks you to play. You try to get rid of that. Even if you manually uninstall it, it still comes back because it's in your registry. So there's third-party apps that will allow you to clean that up. But we're not going to do that here. Let's pretend that I already did that. Now, if that's 1A of the overall global rule of cleaning up your desktop, 1B is even more important, and that is enabling the viewing of file extensions and also viewing hidden files. That is very, very crucial because you as a programmer need to know what files are, what their extensions are. So we'll go to File Explorer, and I'm doing this live, so I apologize if I'm a little bit rusty on this, but here is the view. Now your view layout might be different, but we can view, and here we go show, and here is file name extensions. We want to show the file name extensions, and let's see, we want to view hidden items. So we'll go to downloads, and what we're going to do is then we'll install Python the right way. But first, I'm going to create a new folder, and we'll call it Python, and then we'll create another folder. We'll go new, and we'll say week 1. And within week 1, I'm going to do right click, and we'll do a new text document, and we can see right there, it does in fact show the extension. So what we're going to wind up doing is we're going to create another document after we install Python. We're going to create a .py document, but that is in another step. Now that we have shown the extension, I'm just going to delete this. More options. Okay, so I was able to delete it manually with the delete button. Okay, so let's X that out of there. And this is the very first time I'm going to run Microsoft Edge. Yes, I know everybody collectively rolled their eyes. No, I don't think Microsoft Edge is nearly as good as Mozilla Firefox, but this is only VMware, so I'm not going to go through all the efforts of taking this as a legitimate OS, because I just literally downloaded it just for this purpose, for this video. I'm going to click Microsoft Edge. Oh my God, I'm using Microsoft Edge. I know, hand in my nerd card, right? So we're going to so this is the correct way of installing Python. We're going to go to python.org, and we're going to physically type into the web browser, and here is the website for python.org. We can see the various programs right here, and we can navigate the programs with these buttons right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we can see that the programs have changed, have shifted. They should shift naturally through time, but if you want to navigate to each specific one, we can just click on that, and that's fine. But what we really want to do is go for the downloads. So this is downloads, and here we see download Python 3.2.5. Now, for some reason, I never go for the first one that they say up front. I go to where it shows all of them. So let me go back up here. I'm going to go back, and I don't know why it's not doing this. Again, this might be because, okay, here's downloads. I was looking at the wrong one. So I'm not going to go, I'm not going to go to the first one they said. I'm going to go to Windows, and let me navigate down, and Python, this one right here, which is fine. So by the time a year, 2 years rolls around, 3 years, this Python 3.25 will be 3.14 or something like that. This still applies. So I'm going to click on that, and then hopefully it downloads, okay? And let's see, Universal Installer ARM64. That's because it's specific to my system. You select a system that works for you. And I don't like to open the file from the toolbar. I actually like to go to my downloads, and I can see this is the .exe file. I'm going to click on it, install now. Okay, here is what I'm screaming at you. You want to make sure whether or not you want to use admin privileges when installing by exe, that's up to you, but you want to make sure you add python.exe to your pad. Install now, and then go to yes, and I'll show you in a second about how we can test it. How we can test to make sure that your Python has been automatically installed. Okay, this is installing. Setup was successful. And then that's a new one for me, disable path length limitation. I went ahead and I clicked that. You don't have to do it, but I just did it. All right, so we can X this out and we can X this out. Now, how do we test to make sure that my installation was successful? We go to our Windows icon. I realize some of you have the Windows icon here in the corner. This is just essentially a brand new installation. Now we're gonna look for the command line interface, and because Windows is just Windows and Microsoft is always Microsoft, they're hiding the things that we really want and are really useful for us programmers. They hide the command line interface, so we are forced to type in the letters C as in Charlie, M as in Michael, D as in dog, and you can see we already have access to the command prompt through the best matches. And here's the command prompt. Now, to test whether or not my install was successful, all we have to do is from the command prompt, type in Python and press enter, and wouldn't you know, I have it installed. And to test it out, we'll say import this, and here is the Zen of Python. We can go ahead and close it out. Now, one last thing I mentioned to you before, when in my downloads folder, I did create the Python folder. And just so you know, we can go ahead and right click and delete this. Not delete it, I apologize. Right click, and there's the trash bin. We can delete that, and we have this Python folder. So when you create a Python folder like this, it's like a little space that you can control, and go to click on Python, then go to week 1, and then new text document. I could just trash that out, and I'm going to create a new document, text document, and I'm just going to call it first.py. First. For some reason, anybody I tutor in Python, I always say first.py. I don't know why that is. If you change the file name extension, this might become unusable. You should. The answer is yes. And let's go ahead and edit it. And so I went through the effort of downloading Notepad++. So if we go back here, I can right-click or simulate a right-click. And wouldn't you know, it's not letting me. Here, let me just see. Okay, edit with Notepad++. And I created a little program here, import random. I just said print hello word. It should be hello world. Sorry about that. This is what happens when you do things live. Anyways, print your lucky number is random.rand range 101. So that creates a number between 1 and 100. So I don't need to save that because I already saved it. Or actually, I did make it a little change, and I did save it. Just go to File and go to Save, and let me X this out. I can't stand it when I go to close, and then it says, you just made a change, you want to save it, because I'm always like, man, anytime you make any change in your file, you should save it automatically. So it's almost like I almost made a mistake. But anyways, So here is our file. So the question is, what is the proper way of running Python programs in your Windows system? So I like to go to your terminal. So we go to Charlie Michael Daniel CMD. And to run any program, you just simply type Python and the name of the file. But we want to kind of like be in a central location. So I choose the downloads folder because it's easy to get to from the typical landing place in your command line interface. So where you're at is as you can see, the prompt says users JSON. So that's somewhere buried in your C drive, but it's one level below your downloads file. So all you have to do is press DOWN for downloads, and you can literally press the tab button to autocomplete. Then you can go to your Python file. You recall it's within the Python file, and then the specific folder is week 1, and then we can put in the name of the file to run it, first.py, press enter, and look at what happens. It says your lucky number of the day is 3, try it again, 6, 96, and 88. You get the point. So the beauty of this is that things are organized, and what you can do is you can create week 1 and then week 2, then week 3, and then now we know how to get to it from the command line interface. It's just adjusting the week numbers and the weekly numbers and then the specific file name. So that is a good way to not only install Python the correct way, but organizing your file system so you can easily get to them and run them from the command line interface.